Na costa do Japão permanece uma estrutura submersa, possivelmente o trabalho de uma civilização que viveu há 10 mil anos.
We may be on the edge of reading for the first time a missing chapter in the human story.
Mas será este monumento o resultado do engenho do homem ou da geologia natural?
Just because it looks like history doesn't mean it is.
As misteriosas pirâmides submersas do Japão. As águas em volta da ilha de Yonaguni, na costa sudoeste do Japão, são difíceis de atingir e ainda mais de mergulhar. Mas a água salgada azul safira do mar oriental da China mostra um sem número de maravilhas naturais aos que as visitam. Este mundo subaquático raramente foi visto por pessoas fora da minúscula comunidade japonesa de mergulhadores que reclama esta parte do mar para si mesmo. Em 1987, o instrutor de mergulho, Kiachiro Aratake, pôs-se em campo para descobrir maneiras de atrair mais mergulhadores a Yonaguni.
Nature amazes me. I see the fish and the many forms of sea life change here every day. So we were exploring diving points to use the ocean to attract tourists.
Kiachiro Aratake procura os locais de acasalamento dos tubarões martelo, que povoam o oceano nesta zona. Ele acredita que a oportunidade dada aos mergulhadores de ver estas criaturas únicas de perto é a sua chave para o sucesso. Mas o que Aratake acaba por descobrir é ainda mais único e espetacular do que qualquer outra coisa que ele possa ter imaginado.
When I first saw it, I had goosebumps and felt strange, wondering why something like this exists underwater.
Para Aratake, os megalitos que descobriu parecem-lhe os restos de uma antiga estrutura cerimonial.
When I saw this for the first time, it definitely looked like ruins. So I named it Iseki Point, Ruins Point.
Iseki Point está localizado a 24 metros de profundidade, a menos de 1 km da costa da ilha de Yonaguni. Parte da cadeia mais a sul da ilha de Ryukyu, a ilha de Yonaguni, é uma pequena joia. A parte mais oeste do Japão, a cerca de 160 km a este de Taiwan. Apenas com 10 km de comprimento e 3 km de largura, podemos mergulhar ao redor do perímetro de Yonaguni em menos de 40 minutos. Mas o que falta aí em tamanho, Aratake espera compensar com a importância histórica que ele sente na sua descoberta.
When I saw it for the first time, I had a strong impression of the pyramids, and I felt like I was in Egypt. It is a great mystery that there is such large object near such a small island.
Masahaki Kimura é professor de Ciências Físicas na Universidade de Ryukyu, em Okinawa, no Japão. Em 1992, foi o primeiro cientista a explorar e medir o fenómeno subaquático. A estrutura principal tem mais de 150 metros de comprimento, quase o comprimento de 2 campos de futebol, e é mais alta do que um edifício de 8 andares. Para Masahaki Kimura e a sua equipa, isto é mais do que uma coleção de rochas interessantes.
Our studies show proof that the monument is not artificial, but is man-made.
Mas os estudos de Kimura, publicados em japonês e a circular apenas na sua comunidade académica, falharam a difusão no Ocidente. Fotografias circulam na internet atraindo a atenção de mergulhadores do Ocidente. Entre os primeiros estão Gary e Cecilia Haglund, marido e mulher, fotógrafos subaquáticos que já fizeram mais de 9.000 mergulhos em todo o mundo.
The first time that we dove on the monument, it just seemed like I was in some sort of a science fiction movie, flying across some city, this massive, massive city. And when I got back up on the boat, I had no words to describe it.
Iseki Point is kind of a magical place to dive. There are times where, because of the difficulty, you're really in survival mode, but there are times when the conditions abate just enough where you can just stand back and look and watch the monument and imagine what or who might have created this.
There's no doubt in my mind that this is man-made. There's just absolutely no way that this could just happen to be here.
As suas fotografias foram vistas pelo Dr. Robert Schoch, geólogo da Universidade de Boston, que fez um trabalho pioneiro na datação da esfinge do Egito.
I hear a lot of, should we say, rumors, and people tell me things about stupendous finds that turn out not to be true, etc., etc. So I just dismissed it as one more thing like that. When I first heard about it, then I saw photographs of it, and the photographs really looked fascinating.
As fotografias do monumento também impressionaram Graham Hancock, correspondente oficial do Economist e autor de vários livros sobre as estruturas mais antigas conhecidas da Terra. Hancock tira imediatamente um curso de mergulho para que possa ver o monumento com os seus próprios olhos.
My first impressions when I first saw the main underwater structure at Yonaguni were of complete awe. To see very clean, almost right-angled, sharp edges, to see every appearance of design and organization in a large stone structure underwater raised in me a tremendous sense of excitement and mystery. The closest parallel, I would say, is the kind of feeling that I get when I walk into a great cathedral or into the Great Pyramid of Egypt.
Desde 1997, Hancock fez mais de 150 mergulhos em Yonaguni, descobrindo mais do que apenas um monumento de pedra.
We have specific, distinct structures with extremely puzzling, anomalous features that I believe cannot be explained by nature, found spread out along 5 kilometers of the southern coast of Yonaguni. And since they're all submerged, it suggests to me that they were all made at roughly the same time. I honestly think that we are looking at a huge ceremonial, ritual, religious area.
O facto do monumento de Yonaguni estar submerso gera um desafio científico extremamente difícil. Se estas estruturas em pedra foram de facto criadas pelo homem, teriam de ter sido esculpidas quando o monumento estava à superfície. De acordo com as estimativas de Masahaki Kimura, as ruínas datariam da Idade do Gelo, quando o nível médio das águas de mar era muito mais baixo, porque a maior parte da água do mundo ainda estava concentrada nas calotes polares do hemisfério norte. Isso significa que a última vez que o monumento de Yonaguni esteve descoberto foi aproximadamente em 8000 a.C., precedendo as pirâmides do Egito em mais de 5000 anos.
The monument might be 10,000 years old or older, which would make it the oldest structure in the world.
Mas datar o monumento de Yonaguni da Idade do Gelo ultrapassa a linha do tempo comumente aceite pela maioria dos arqueólogos.
Large-scale man-made constructions of this nature require a level of organization and planning in society which historians presently are unprepared to accept could possibly have existed 10,000 years ago. And therefore proof that these structures are man-made, and indeed if we can get to it, that they may be 10,000 years old, is by definition going to force a revision of history.
The common knowledge is that the southwestern islands have no history of old civilizations. So if a 10,000-year-old civilization existed, it would be a big surprise. It would be unbelievable.
De acordo com especialistas, por volta de 8000 a.C., os homens eram caçadores-recoletores nómadas, vivendo em clãs desorganizados que apenas tinham as mais rudimentares ferramentas de pedra. Certamente não o tipo de sociedade capaz de criar um monumento de Yonaguni.
The general scenario for the rise of what we would call civilization or sophisticated civilization is that it begins in Mesopotamia and Egypt around 3000 BC.
John Anthony West escreveu alguns livros sobre os monumentos dos primeiros homens. E West, como Hancock, acredita que há amplos vestígios na Terra que possa ter existido uma civilização sofisticada na Idade do Gelo. Uma civilização durante milénios descrita através da tradição oral de muitas culturas.
It's very important to remember that there are a large number large numbers of ancient traditions that refer to a lost civilization destroyed by a flood.
Mas até à descoberta do monumento de Yonaguni não havia provas tangíveis que suportassem estes mitos antigos.
There was no known evidence of megalithic structures, monumental building, even say in the 3000 BC range. And if this was going back to maybe 6,000 or 8,000 BC, that was even more stupendous.
Já a seguir, misteriosas pirâmides, templos e lugares sagrados em todo o mundo com algumas semelhanças com as misteriosas pirâmides submersas do Japão.
I think that there's a ton of evidence out there that says that ancient people were in constant contact with each other, much further back than we like to believe.
Over the years, as I've spent more time at Yonaguni, I've become more and more convinced that it is the work of human beings, and that the real mysteries that confront us now are not was this made by man, but when was it made, who made it, and what was it made for.
O professor Masahaki Kimura acredita que a data mais antiga possível para a criação do monumento de Yonaguni é por volta de 8.000 a.C., quando esta parte do Japão ainda estava à superfície. Mas se esta data está correta e se o monumento foi feito pelo homem, quem foram os homens que o construíram? Para obter uma resposta, é necessário recorrer às lendas. Cerca de 360 a.C., o filósofo grego Platão escreveu pela primeira vez o que até aí tinha sido uma tradição oral no Ocidente. É a lenda dos Atlantes, uma civilização de pessoas tecnologicamente avançadas que floresceu por volta de 10.000 a.C. Mas esta visão de uma grande civilização pré-histórica não é apenas de Platão. Lendas como esta existem em todos os continentes. E na Ásia e no Pacífico Sul há uma rica tradição de textos antigos que contam uma história similar. É esta visão partilhada do passado distante que leva alguns a explorar a possibilidade de que tal civilização possa realmente ter existido, e não só em ficção.
In my mind, it's quite conceivable that there are some very ancient, relatively sophisticated cultures and civilizations that we've missed up until now that had existed basically when extinct, if you would, or collapsed before the rise of better known civilizations about 3500 BC.
Antigos textos chineses descrevem um lugar chamado Bengjia, uma ilha a este habitada por humanos que voavam e tinham uma pulsão de vida eterna. Os habitantes da Ilha da Páscoa acreditavam que são os descendentes de um reino de Deus chamado Hiva. A mais antiga de todas as canções sagradas havaianas fala da chegada de uma raça mágica de pessoas de uma ilha flutuante a este chamada Mu.
与那国モニュメントはですね、ある意味ではそのムー大陸の文明を示す一番顕著なものかもしれませんね。
Yonaguni potentially could tie in with this. In fact, I'm very certain that we should at least look to see if there's something there of sort of a, if you want to call it proto-culture or proto-civilization that we're all descended from.
E quer seja chamada Mu, Bengjia ou Atlântida, todos estes sítios lendários partilham um aspecto comum. O de que a grande e antiga civilização de que falam foi destruída por uma terrível inundação.
There are more than 600 individual flood myths found all around the world.
We feel that the flood legends and the catastrophe legends, because of their universality, should at the very least be taken seriously and looked into seriously.
Mais uma vez, indícios físicos em Yonaguni encaixam na lenda. Se o monumento foi criado à superfície durante a Idade do Gelo, é possível que tenha sido destruído quando a Idade do Gelo chegou ao fim.
The ice was stable for more than 100,000 years, and then suddenly, about 17,000 years ago, it all started to melt down. Although the total meltdown took 8,000 years, there were 3 global superfloods during this 8,000-year period, so people living on coastlines would have been taken by surprise. There was one occasion when the sea level rose almost 100 feet, literally overnight in geological terms.
Mas mais uma vez, de acordo com a lenda, quando o cataclismo com uma inundação submerge uma nação-ilha, há sobreviventes. E são essas pessoas lançadas à deriva pela mudança da maré que espalham a sua lenda e partilham o conhecimento da sua civilização em todo o mundo.
Even more important, you might say, than the physical evidence and the legendary and mythological evidence is the evidence for that shared knowledge. The universality of pyramids and the universality of mathematical and number symbolic systems, to me, is very strong evidence of the universality of some ancient civilization.
Investigadores como John Anthony West acreditam que não é coincidência que, quando as grandes civilizações emergem, mais de 7.000 anos mais tarde, tenham construído estruturas semelhantes. Ainda que, por exemplo, as estruturas no Egito e Angkor Wat, no Camboja, estejam a milhares de quilómetros de distância. E muitos destes edifícios têm estranhas semelhanças com a arquitetura do monumento de Yonaguni. Em Okinawa, há o castelo de Nakagusuku, um edifício cerimonial do primeiro milénio a.C. Na ilha de Phnom Penh, na Micronésia, há uma grande área de ruínas antigas não datadas chamadas Nanmodal. E talvez o mais proeminente de todos seja o Templo do Sol perto de Trujillo, no Peru. Um edifício pré-inca com terraços irregulares a um oceano de distância de Yonaguni.
There must have been some kind of transmission of knowledge from generation to generation, which says something, in my opinion, about the level of sophistication and culture of a group that's transmitting knowledge.
Para além da arquitetura, muitas destas diferentes estruturas têm também uma função similar.
It's a simple fact that a great many ancient megalithic structures, whether you're looking at Stonehenge in Britain or the huge megalithic temples of Malta, not only do they consist of large stones that have been cut and worked by human beings, but also they are organized and oriented in relation either to solar or to astronomical directions.
Uma vez mais, parece haver coisas em comum com o monumento de Yonaguni.
It is the case that between 9,000 and 10,000 years ago, when it is extremely likely that Yonaguni was still exposed above water, Yonaguni Island itself was exactly on what was then the Tropic of Cancer, the ancient Tropic of Cancer, and this was an astronomically significant location.
The people who made this monument may have been interested in using it for directional bearing or because of some type of astronomical significance. Near the monument, there is a stone which we call sunstone. Now, I'm not sure if it was used as a sundial or for some religious purpose, but the long hand of the stone does point to the north and south.
Será possível que o monumento de Yonaguni seja o berço das lendas de Atlântida, dos mitos das inundações e da partilha de conhecimento do passado? Ou é simplesmente uma coleção de rochas e uma coleção de coincidências? A maioria da comunidade científica está inclinada a acreditar nesta última opção.
Archaeologists and historians regard themselves, rightly, as the specialists in our culture on the past. They do like to feel that they know everything that needs to be known about the past. And so the idea of a very major forgotten episode is a bit threatening, I think. And when a very interesting phenomenon like the underwater structures of Yonaguni is found, instead of rationally and intelligently investigating that phenomenon and coming to conclusions, most academics just write it off at the outset and don't even want to know.
Há, contudo, casos em que foram explorados os lugares míticos do passado e se veio a provar que eram reais. Em 1870, o arqueólogo alemão Heinrich Schliemann escava uma rede de ruínas perto de Hisarlik, na Turquia, e descobre que a cidade mítica de Troia realmente existiu. Mais recentemente, em 1992, imagens de satélite tiradas a partir do Space Shuttle Challenger ajudam a localizar a cidade mítica de Hubar, que, de acordo com a lenda islâmica, foi destruída por Deus e engolida pelo deserto. Se esforços científicos semelhantes forem levados a cabo em Yonaguni, será possível que haja semelhante resultado?
Our archaeology is at present a rather crippled and limited thing if it focuses its attention only on evidence from above water. We have to look at the areas where human beings lived before they were flooded. So I think what the Yonaguni Monument is telling us, and in a very in-your-face kind of way, is that there may be a large part of the human record, of the story of human civilization, which is presently withheld from archaeology because it's underwater.
Já a seguir vai ver o geólogo Dr. Robert Schoch a realizar o seu primeiro mergulho no monumento de Yonaguni e a fazer uma descoberta inesperada.
It was very beautiful, it was very interesting, but it was nothing like the photographs I had seen.
Yonaguni não é o primeiro monumento submerso a insinuar uma ligação com a civilização perdida de que reza a lenda. Nos anos 60, arqueólogos amadores consideraram uma formação rochosa nas Caraíbas como sendo Bimini Road uma via de comunicação para a Atlântida feita pelo homem. Os geólogos insistem que se trata apenas de uma praia de rochas fraturada. Nos anos 80, mergulhadores russos afirmam ter descoberto estruturas de proporções atlântidas perto dos Açores no meio do Atlântico, mas ainda não mostraram fotografias da sua expedição. Será Yonaguni outra Bimini Road ou uma ilusão? Em 1997, o Dr. Robert Schoch chega à ilha de Yonaguni. É o primeiro investigador ocidental a mergulhar no monumento. Talvez porque se orgulha de trabalhar também com o que é considerado fora de normal.
I think of myself as coming from a very traditional background. I've got a PhD in geology and geophysics from Yale. Been doing a lot of very traditional academic work. But in 1989, 1990, I first got involved with the Great Sphinx of Egypt. Traditionally, the Sphinx is dated to 2500 BC. By my dating, looking at erosional patterns on the rocks, the amount of erosion, the nature of the weathering, doing some fairly sophisticated seismic studies, etc., I've come to conclude that the oldest portion of the Sphinx is at least 5000 BC. So I was already used to looking at sort of, should we say, unconventional things. Certain people, I think, as a compliment, refer to me as an open-minded scientist. I take that as a positive. So I was not someone that was going over there, should we say, dogmatically skeptical that this could never be the case. I was open to the possibility that here in Japan we had a very ancient structure.
Porém, quase imediatamente, o Dr. Robert Schoch repara numa coisa que será um prenúncio de descobertas futuras.
I went right down to the coastline and you could see very dramatically the waves tearing at the rock and breaking it off and actually forming this step-like structure.
No seu primeiro mergulho, o Dr. Robert Schoch é escoltado até ao local do monumento de Yonaguni por Kichahiro Aratake, que descobriu esse mesmo local em 1987. Mergulham acompanhados pelos escritores John Anthony West e Graham Hancock. À medida que se aproximam do monumento através de uma passagem estreita, cada um tem as suas próprias impressões.
On each side of the passageway we see two courses of megaliths piled on top of each other, and the joints between the megaliths are at exactly the same level on both sides of the passageway, completely roofed over with flat blocks, rather of the same shape as the classic goalposts of Stonehenge.
What I see is rock that seems to have fallen naturally. In some cases, harder rock may be sliding down softer rock and naturally working its way together as it collapsed on itself, forming a wall-like structure.
Através da passagem, a primeira visão do monumento são os estonteantes megalitos chamados Torres Gêmeas.
This is one of the many factors that convinces me that we're looking at a man-made structure here, because I find it very difficult to imagine how nature could have contrived to lower those two megalithic, rather neatly shaped blocks into position side by side, just 4 inches apart.
I found a lot of natural vertical fractures, and it started making sense to me how this beautiful structure, an incredibly regular structure, could, in large part, potentially be the result of natural processes.
Robert Schoch encontra os mesmos processos naturais ao trabalhar no próprio monumento.
The way the beds are formed, the natural rock layers are formed, they flake off nice and horizontally, they're crisscrossed with nice vertical fractures and joints, they weather and they erode such that I believe you get nice step-like structures.
There will be what looks like an absolutely perfectly clear-cut, perfect horizontal, perfect vertical, but when you stick your mask down next to the corner, you see that it hasn't been cut, but rather that a chunk of rock has been wrenched out of the away from its natural fault lines to produce this extraordinary formation.
Contudo, o professor Masaaki Kimura, baseando-se nos seus próprios mergulhos no local, questiona a teoria da erosão.
そのモニュメントの下に
At the bottom of the monument, there are no rocks. If this were a natural creation, big rocks falling off of the monument would gather at the base.
Where the Yonaguni monument is located, you've got incredibly strong currents and driving forces to actually split the rock, to pull off pieces, to wash them away nice and cleanly. You know, in nature, you can form magnificent structures, but that doesn't mean they're artificial.
E de acordo com Robert Schoch, os ângulos retos visíveis nas fotografias são na realidade ilusões. Poderá a natureza ter formado ângulos retos pontiagudos que apontam tão compulsivamente para algo artificial?
I could not see the rock because it was covered with corals and sponges and algae. And they've actually, in my assessment, homogenized the surface. So it's like having sort of a rough, cruddy surface and you skim the whole thing with cement. In this case, natural cement, these biological organisms, it makes it look even more artificial, makes it look even more regular.
Mas várias áreas na superfície do monumento não parecem a Kimura terem sido causadas pela erosão ou suavizadas pela espuma do mar.
3つほど
There are 3 holes, all approximately 70 centimeters in diameter and lined up in a row.
These kinds of things do form naturally when there's a harder concretion, as it were, of like a boulder embedded in the shale, and the action of the water pulls the boulder away and you end up with a perfectly round hole.
2 of the holes are round, but the third has a hexagon shape, which could not have been created naturally. I think perhaps this hole was used to erect a post.
We find an internal right angle cut into the rock. Now, external right angles, one might argue, could result from erosion or wave action, but to find an internal right angle in a protected area is very puzzling indeed.
Mais uma vez, Robert Schoch vê a natureza agir.
I looked at those little holes in great detail underwater on several different trips, and I see no evidence of actual chiseling, that they're artificial. My hypothesis is that what we have here is a natural weak joint or weak layer where little organisms have gotten in there, they sort of space themselves relatively regularly. So you've essentially got what are a series of regular holes, but I think they can be explained by natural means.
No terraço superior do monumento há formas adicionais que também parecem gravuras.
Now, when I look at these, to me it's more, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way, it's like looking at clouds and seeing shapes in the clouds.
Were I to focus on any one area of the Yonaguni monuments, I might be persuaded that it had been made by nature. But the combination of so many different features in this one area, for me, makes it extremely unlikely that nature could have done them all.
E se Graham Hancock concede a algumas partes do monumento o efeito de forças naturais, Robert Schoch põe de parte a possibilidade de qualquer artificialidade.
There's a few little things like some scar marks, potential scar marks that Professor Kimura has pointed out to me that could be artificial. We can't, in my opinion, exclude the possibility that there was some, should we say, utilization, even if it's primarily a natural structure, by ancient humans.
It was exactly the opposite of what we wanted to find, but up to now, we simply haven't found the kind of evidence that would allow us to go on believing what we wanted to believe. Just because it looks like history doesn't mean it is.
Em julho de 2000, uma equipa da expedição enviada para este documentário do canal História é convidada a ir a Yonaguni para ver com os seus próprios olhos as ruínas. E as suas câmaras foram as primeiras a filmar uma estrutura recentemente descoberta chamada o Palco. Veremos a seguir filmagens exclusivas da expedição a Yonaguni e uma nova descoberta que é feita.
Wow, did I actually discover something here myself just by shooting video?
A expedição enviada a Yonaguni para este documentário começa com um contratempo. Há um alarme de tufão. As nuvens que se aproximam e o mar agitado não auguram nada de bom para a equipa e os 3 mergulhadores locais, incluindo Aratake e os 3 fotógrafos subaquáticos, incluindo Gary e Cecilia Hangland, os veteranos de Yonaguni.
The weather conditions were bad. The typhoon was coming, but the whole crew was there, and I wanted you to dive while it was still possible. So I took you there in spite of the big waves.
We thought we weren't going to be able to get into the water any other day based on the weather report at the time.
As we motored out to the spot, it became more than obvious that we shouldn't be diving that day.
When we got in the water, the current was so intense. There was no way that I could have even imagined a current that great. I thought I had experienced a good current here before, but that was just totally intense.
A equipa mergulha primeiro no monumento principal e consegue captar muitas das imagens subaquáticas vistas ao longo deste programa.
We estimated the currents to be maybe 6 knots, which is very considerable, and of course you can't swim against that. Those were some of the most extreme conditions I've ever experienced in over 20 years of diving.
E a beleza misteriosa do monumento é ainda palpável para o fotógrafo Tom Holden na sua primeira vez em Yonaguni.
There was just a sense about the place that you felt that there had been other peoples there sometime.
As condições pioram. Aratake faz sinal à tripulação para emergir. A viagem de regresso à costa é melancólica. A oportunidade de ser a primeira equipa a fotografar a área recentemente descoberta tem que ficar para outro mergulho. Na manhã seguinte, Gary Hagland está filosófico.
Working on a monument underwater is always a roll of the dice. It's a crapshoot. Sometimes you'll get something, sometimes you wish you were somewhere else. Yesterday, I think we wished we were somewhere else.
Mas na tarde do segundo dia acontece um pequeno milagre. O tufão mudou inesperadamente de curso e o céu e o mar ficaram logo calmos. Aratake acredita que isto aconteceu por uma razão.
I think it was because of your attitude toward the monument. You were being good. God knows that.
Dirigindo-se ao sítio, a equipa tem a sua primeira visão clara da única linha de costa da ponta mais a sudoeste do Japão. No promontório mais a sul, a plataforma de rocha tem uma ligeira semelhança com o monumento mesmo ao largo da costa. Mas é a rocha alta com cerca de 30 metros à sua frente que é o mais surpreendente. Reminiscências dos Moia da Ilha da Páscoa. Os observadores dividem se é natural ou feita pelo homem. Desta vez, a corrente é menor do que 2 nós.
The sun had come out, the water had calmed down, the visibility was awesome. For somebody with a camera, it was just like a dream. Being able to have your camera and be in the water in those conditions where you want to be. And I was totally thrilled.
Aratake guia a expedição para um local situado aproximadamente a meia milha do monumento principal. À medida que os mergulhadores se aproximam, uma grande estrutura de 2 lados aparece. É chamada o palco.
When we dove the stage, that blew my mind away because I truly felt that there had been a presence there, a human presence there many, many years ago. Maybe it was an altar. Maybe it was a stage. I don't know. Maybe it was a place for a throne. But I felt that this had been touched by the hand of man a long, long time ago.
I was following Aratake very closely as he pointed out the different features, and he was motioning at his eyes and then pointing to this perfectly carved out area in the rock. I thought he meant, come look at this, so I came in closer with the camera and I realized, oh, he's saying these are eyes, they're eyes. But I was so close I couldn't really see this. So as I swam back with the camera, all of a sudden it just like materializes. There, carved in the side of this stage, is a perfect face.
There's no doubt in my mind, that this is man-made. There's just absolutely no way that this could just happen to be here.
When I look at those faces, those brooding faces, instead of Egypt, I think more of what you see in Central America, especially some of the Mayan stone sculpture.
E na continuação do lado, outra imagem enorme.
It looked like some sort of a headdress or bird wings coming off of the face, carved in the stone itself, and nobody that I know of has mentioned that to date. So to me it was exciting, like, wow, did I actually discover something here myself?
No resto do dia e no dia seguinte, a equipa explora a área à volta do palco. Tiram-se medidas. A plataforma mede 25 metros de largura e 25 metros de comprimento. A equipa também fotografa pela primeira vez uma pedra isolada que parece ter sido colocada propositadamente no topo de um pedestal maciço. E Aratake descobre o que acha ser uma estátua de uma tartaruga. Há também nichos na rocha que alguns acreditam que pudessem ser petróglifos.
It really needs to be studied because there's more here than folks know. And I think this is going to just really rewrite the history books.
To have this experience that we had was just, it was otherworldly. This one ranks as probably the most unique experience I've had on any of my shoots.
Já a seguir, Aratake vai revelar uma surpresa final nas praias da ilha de Yonaguni.
Wealthy people spent many years to build those beautiful tombs.
As fortunate as I've been to travel all over the world and see some of these wonderful places and have these great dives, this is one that is unforgettable. And I can only hope that we generate enough interest so that they can maybe unlock this mystery.
When people come to see the ruins, most of them are skeptical about the ruins. But when they actually see them underwater, 99% of them are fascinated. When I see them go home fascinated, I feel very happy that I discovered it.
Depois de 3 dias de vigilância aos monumentos, a equipa de produção emerge e regressa à costa. Revêem as suas filmagens com Kiichiro Aratake e olham com excitação as imagens recentemente descobertas que observaram em Yonaguni.
Dr. Kimura wants to have all kinds of information from all kinds of people. I was privileged to dive with a great team and to have 2 new discoveries made. I will report it to Dr. Kimura right away.
Depois, numa encosta a Barlavento, por cima do monumento de Yonaguni, Aratake leva a equipa a um dos mais antigos cemitérios da ilha. Os túmulos não estão datados, mas parecem ostentar similaridades com os monumentos subaquáticos, apenas a meia milha da costa de Yonaguni.
These tombs and ruins must be related in some way.
There are certain tombs on Yonaguni that in fact are not exactly like the traditional Okinawan tombs. As far as I can tell, they seem to be older, they're carved out of bedrock, and in fact they have sort of stylistically, if I could use that term, I think a similarity to the Yonaguni underwater structure. So even if the Yonaguni monument is totally natural, it's a reasonable hypothesis to assume that it was being maybe viewed, utilized, walked around on, being admired by the ancients that were there, and being imitated to a certain extent.
Será o monumento de Yonaguni uma formação rochosa natural que pelo menos era fonte de inspiração para os primeiros habitantes da ilha? Ou será a estrutura artificial mais antiga do mundo, o trabalho de uma lendária civilização pré-histórica? Presentemente há apenas especulação erudita. Para realmente saber o significado deste misterioso sítio, é necessário um estudo compreensivo por parte da maioria dos cientistas. Até à data, nenhum estudo assim está planeado.
The question of considering a phenomenon like a series of submerged anomalous structures off the coast of a Japanese island, and the fact that very few academics have been prepared to spend even a minute of their time looking into that, to me, this is a huge failure of science in the world today.
In Japan, there are only a few archaeologists who can dive and study the monument firsthand. So other academics who haven't seen the monument with their own eyes are drawing conclusions based on imagination. If they come, dive, and hypothesize with us, I'm sure my theories about Yonaguni will take a positive direction. I'm quite sure about that.
Only time will tell the true significance, the true magnitude of this discovery, but I'm confident that as the years go by and they discover more and more, that this monument and the other structures at Yonaguni will help change our perceptions of world history.
If all of a sudden I get word and see good images and convincing evidence that, say, Arataki or Professor Kimura has found some kind of inscription or carving on the side of the Yonaguni monument that's absolutely definitively artificial, I think it'd be great. I'll applaud it and I'll be on the first plane I can be on to go see it.